That's a good thing. Make money those days. You ever thought 255 pages wouldn't do enough? Oh, I know. I was reading it last night at midnight.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody with us tonight. We're getting ready to begin our council work session for August the 11th, 2025, and it is exactly 6:30. Roll call. All the council is here, the mayor is here, the city attorney is here, the finance director is here, as is the city manager. So everyone's here. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, I have a motion. We have a second? Wants to add? Okay, we got an amendment. Hold on. Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's not. I'm so sorry. We've had a couple issues with food trucks recently, Sam's on Main, the Lobster. I'd like to talk about that. A lot of it came up late this week, and I just want to have a discussion on it. It could be under whichever one you want, but I guess it could be under downtown.
Well, we'll put it under economic development. How about that?
That works.
Okay. Okay, we have the motion to approve the agenda with the exception of adding food trucks under economic development. Do we have a motion? Okay, we have a motion. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very good. The agenda is approved. We'll move right on into our list of things to do tonight, and we'll do Planning and Development Committee first. Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight we have 8 cases to hear. They all fall under one project that we're calling the Chandler Hawk Project. And I'll ask Robbie to come up and read these cases into the record. And the way this is going to work tonight is Robbie will read the cases in the record. I'll open the public hearing, and the applicant will come up and speak and present the project. And then we'll open up for public opinion, whether you want to speak in favor or opposition. Then we'll ask the applicant if he would like to come back and address any concerns from the public, and then we'll close the public hearing. At that point, mayor and council will open up for discussion with the applicant. And then we'll take action on Thursday night, and the action would be to vote on each individual case on Thursday. Thank you, Rob.
All right, the first case is case number A25-005, Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC. Request annexation of property located at 4159 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220011A00, Walton County, Georgia, 2 acres. Case R25-006, Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC, filed an application to rezone 2 acres located at 4159 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220011A00, Walton County, Georgia. The property owner is Diane Atha Clay. The current zoning is A1, and that is the county, and the requested zoning is R44 with no proposed development at this time. Case number A25-007, Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC, request annexation of property located at 4139 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220011, Walton County, Georgia, 2 acres. Case R25-008, Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC, filed an application to rezone 2 acres located at 4139 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220011, Walton County, Georgia. The property owner is Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay. The current zoning is A1 in the county. The requested zoning is R44 with no proposed development. Case number A25-009 is Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC, requests annexation of property located at 0 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220011B00, Walton County, Georgia, 17.57 acres. Case number R25-010, Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay, care of Prater Consulting LLC, filed an application to rezone 17.57 acres located at 0 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia. Map and parcel number C0220011B00, Walton County, Georgia. The property owner is Eddie H. Atha and Diane Atha Clay. The current zoning is R16. There is a portion that is already inside the city, and the rest is A1, which is a county zoning. The requested zoning is RM4 for a multifamily development. Case number A25-011, Eddie H. Atha and Regina M. Atha, care of Prater Consulting LLC, requests annexation of property located at 4109 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map and parcel number C0220010, Walton County, Georgia, 4.103 acres. And finally, case R25-012, Eddie H. Atha and Regina M. Atha, care of Prater Consulting LLC, filed an application to rezone 4.103 acres located at 4109 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville, Georgia, 30052. Map parcel number C0220010, Walton County, Georgia. The property owner is Eddie H. Atha and Regina M. Atha. The current zoning is A1. The requested zoning is R44 with no proposed development. The Planning Commission approved this as an R22 project. Their recommendation was to approve it as an R22 project.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. So at this time, I'll open this portion of the meeting for the public hearing, invite the applicant to come to the podium and speak.
And let me just clarify for the record, we're holding a consolidated public hearing for all 8 of those cases that were just read into the record. And is there a time limit of for and against?
There is a 15-minute time limit, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's for both sides, the
Yeah,
applicant.
15 minute for and 15 minutes against, and I'll be the timekeeper.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here before you tonight with these cases. Can you hear me? Yeah, I have to lean into it. These cases were tabled back in May by the council at the work session to give us time to meet with residents in the area. We did meet with the residents on a couple of different occasions, and the consensus from the residents were they were okay with the RM4 single-family dwellings. Well, since that time, that became non-viable with previous votes from the council on that type of zoning. So we're before you tonight asking for the project to be zoned to R22 instead of the RM4 zoning we was originally asking for. And even though we've submitted applications for 4 properties, there's only one family that owns all the properties. All the property with the exception of 1.42 acres are islands inside the city limits. The first property, 25005 and 006, is located at 4159 Chandler Hawk Road. It's approximately 2 acres in size. It's currently zoned by Walton County as A1. And the property has an existing structure. Oh, there it went. Hold on. The property has an existing structure that was built in 2003 and is approximately 2,168 square feet. The property will remain as a single-family dwelling with no foreseen changes to the structure. The applicant is requesting the City Council to approve the annexation and rezoned R22. The next property, 25007 and 008, is located at 4139 Chandler Hawk Road. It's approximately 2 acres in size. It's currently zoned A1 by Walton County, and the property has an existing structure that was built in 1964 and is approximately 2,002 square feet. The property will remain as a single-family dwelling with no foreseen changes to the structure, and the applicant is requesting the council approve the annexation and rezoned R22. The next property, I would like to skip 009 and 010. Hold on a second, I got lost. Where am I at? Yes, I'd like to skip 009 and 010 and go to 25-011 and 012. It's located at 4109 Chandler Hawk Road. It's approximately 4.1 acres in size. The current zoning is A1 by Walton County. The property has an existing house that was built in 1981, and it's approximately 1,885 square feet. The property will remain as a single-family dwelling with no foreseen changes to the structure, and the applicant is requesting the council annex and rezone this property to R22. The next property, going back to 25009 and 010, located parcel numbers are CO 220011B00 and CO 22001110DB, Chandler Hawk Road. The property is approximately 18.99 acres with the 1.2 acres that's in the city. The current zoning is A1 by Walton County and R16 by the city of Loganville. The applicant is requesting City Council approve the annexation and rezone to R22. R22. Although the largest portions of these properties are not inside the city limits, they are designated by the city's future land use map as being in the city with a residential classification. The zoning map shows the properties are islands surrounded by the city limits. The property is prominently surrounded by R16, R22 CSO, and R22. We've included a visualization of a site plan. As shown on the plan, this is not an exact proposal site plan. It's just a concept of what the subdivision could look like. The property owners do not have a developer for the property. However, the development will adhere to all the zoning and development regulations of the city. With the Highway 20 Sharon Church improvements, we will not anticipate traffic from this zoning being a major issue. It's our belief that the properties being designated by the city's comprehensive plan future land use map, with all 4 properties being islands within the city limits, with 3 of the properties remaining single-family dwellings, water and sewer availability per the staff report, the parcel of land meets the requirements to be annexed into the city limits, and that the rezone requests for all properties are in line with the spirit and intent of the city's comprehensive plan, future land use map, and zoning requirements of the city. At the end of last week, we were sent some recommendation for conditions. I'd like to read them into the record if you don't mind. Recommended conditions. 1, the neighborhood must be governed by a homeowners association who will be in charge with, among regular duties, A, enforce no parking on the streets. No parking signs will be installed along the roadways per city guidelines. And B, ensure there are no more than 50% of the homes rented. 2, each resident must have a garage and a 50-foot driveway from the back of the sidewalk to the house. Must use hardy plank or other masonry type siding. 4, 10 overflow parking spaces. 5, a covered pavilion no less than 100 square feet. And 6, a small playground or rec area. Although the Athers would like to have no conditions on this property, they have agreed to all the conditions with the exception of the last 3. Overflow parking is mainly designed for multifamily zoning and not conducive to a R22 subdivision. And with the condition of 50-foot driveways, we do not feel additional parking would be necessary. Number 5 and 6, with only 33 or so homes, we do not feel that a 10 by 10 pavilion and a small playground or rec area would be an asset to the subdivision and would only lessen the land available for building, as well as being a burden on the HOA with a small number of homes contributing to HOA dues. And we would respectfully request your approval of all applications as requested for annexation and the R22 zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right, so at this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone that would like to speak in favor of this project. Yes, Terry, if you want to come to the podium. Yes, ma'am? Okay. If you'll wait, we'll get Terry done, then we'll get you next. Of course, Terry, you know the drill. We need your address for the record, please.
I live at ABC, no. Terry Parsons, 1102 Chandler Hawk Road, Loganville. When is the last time Loganville has had an opportunity to build an R22 subdivision? I can't think of one, to be honest with you. I think this is an opportunity that we've all talked about with respects to high-density development, and I think this is the opportunity for sensible development. And I hope this council will see that and grant this application, because it is going to be the best thing for our area. In light of everything else y'all face, I think we'll enjoy this a whole lot more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. And if you wouldn't mind, give us your name and your address, please.
Samantha Clay, 4159 Chandler Hawk Road. If you attended the last Planning Commission meeting, this will sound familiar, but I think this is something the council and the mayor need to hear as well. My grandparents were Herbert and Lois Atha. My grandmother was an angel on earth, and I thought my grandfather walked on water. They purchased this land in 1966, including the portion where Ivy Creek stands today, to provide a better life for their children than they had experienced. Growing up in the 1930s and 40s, they were both among the youngest in their large families. They knew what it was like to struggle. They were shaped by their experiences as children, and they grew up to become the kindest, most generous people you would ever meet. My grandmother passed away in 2011, and my grandfather in 2022. Though they had saved and they were able to live comfortably in retirement, by the time my grandfather passed away, there was very little cash remaining. Over the past few years, the remaining cash has been used to pay property taxes on the house and the land and to cut down dead trees. So here we are. My mother and uncle inherited this property, a place that my grandfather was extremely proud to have owned and to have passed down to his children. They have this incredible asset, but in a way it has also become a burden. Property taxes on an additional house and a large tract of land are expensive, and they're both retired. The Athas aren't evil people who want to ruin the area. My mother and uncle were raised right. They are good people to their core. They're just regular folks trying to do the best they can with my granddaddy's most prized possession. Many in this room want to close the gate behind them now that they live in Loganville. I guess it was fine when a portion of this land was developed to make Ivy Creek, though. We are no longer requesting a multifamily zoning, which we recognize would not be ideal for the area. An annexation and zoning of R22 could lock the land into those zoning parameters requiring a single-family development with the corresponding lot and home size requirements. A development of this nature would blend seamlessly with the surrounding area. However, many want to ensure this land remains undeveloped and offer excuses about traffic and overcrowding, when in reality, they're just seeking to benefit from the undeveloped tree buffer. And that's unreasonable. My family has owned this land for nearly 60 years. The city now surrounds it, and the time has come for this land to become part of the city as well. We kindly request the annexation and R22 zoning be approved for the 25 acres. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Anyone in favor? Okay, with that being said, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, total time available to the opposition is 11 minutes and 25 seconds.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, give us your name and your address for the record.
My name is Claire Detlefson. I live at 202 Ivy Creek Drive. And I agree with everything with the R22. The only thing I don't like is that in F, it said RM4, which means residential multifamily, even though it said it's going to be a single family. That's not what it says. It says RM4, which is multifamily. So I don't approve of that phrasing being in there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? Okay, so then I'll ask the applicant, would you like to come back and address any of these concerns? No? Okay. So we'll close this part of the public hearing and open this up to mayor and council for discussion. And if we can, I'd like to address this lady's concern. Danny, what were you just saying?
Well, it's marked RM4 because that's initially what was requested and that's what was advertised.
Okay, but
you
they're
want-
definitely applying for R22.
But what you approve Thursday or not approve will be set in stone.
Right. Does that?
That's because we have to leave it there because that's what legally was advertised with the public, so.
But does that mean eventually?
No, it means when they vote Thursday, whatever they vote on, that will trump whatever was in this packet. So if they vote for R22, then that's what it will be.
I have a question. 006 and 012, it says West zoning.
Alma, let us bring your mic.
We can't hear.
She's bringing you a mic. We can't hear.
I did close the public hearing. Don't need to open it.
I'm sorry. I'm Alma Thomas. I live at 212 Chad Lane, Loganville. The villa's at Loganville. Under 006 and 012, it says the request zoning is R44.
Here, let me go ahead and see if I can just put this to bed. The application is as the application was submitted. During this process, during tablings and discussions, the applicant has requested a lesser included zoning of the R22. This council has the authority to rezone it to whatever it wants to on Thursday, should you so choose. But the applicant's been very clear that their requested zoning is R22, and this council has full authority to honor that request. That's R22, should you wish to zone it to R22. The nomenclature contained within the applications themselves as properly advertised and placed on the agenda is not determinative of what the ultimate zoning classification will be.
Well, while I have the floor, I have one more thing. I would like to see the rental reduced to 20% from the 50%.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
let's get back to mayor and council discussion.
Well, I just have one thing, because I did attend one of your meetings you had. And this isn't even a question for you, it's just basically a broad, it's just a broad statement.
Okay.
I've heard repeatedly, and the young lady up here even said tonight, it's tax burden. And I just want to make sure the family is fully aware that when you're annexed into the city, that tax burden you felt when you're only in the county, you're going to feel it because now you're paying city and county tax. And in light of what Walton County did to all the residents, that tax burden is fixing to be exponential, and yet they're telling us as a council that they have no intentions of changing their homes, that they plan to live there. I guess my problem is I don't understand why they claim they have a tax burden, but yet they want to be annexed in to relieve the tax burden, but they're going to have a heavier tax burden.
You would have to ask Danny and Natalie, but I believe the way it works is if you're inside the city, that tax between the city and county is split, right?
Nope,
It's not?
nope. You get two
It's
tax
in
bills.
addition, oh, I know you get two tax bills.
But I mean, but
I
yes.
thought you paid less in the
No.
county since you was paying the city.
So you pay less than the fire tax. City residents doesn't pay the full 12, or whatever the county is, because
Yeah.
it's a fire tax, but it's still gonna be two tax bills that.
Yeah, I mean,
it'll-
you get
if
a county
yeah,
and a
it'll-
city either way. And now, you know, from what I understand, because I don't live in Walton County, that's fixing to really go up.
Right, and that's where I have
But
an
I
issue.
would like to address Alma. It's not a 50% rental, it is a 15% rental.
Oh, it said 50, I heard 50 as well.
No, it's 15%
Okay.
is what the recommendation condition were.
And that's just for situations where people need some time, like a divorce in the family or a death in the family. That's what that's set there for.
I just want to make sure the family's clear. Their tax burden is going to become much greater, and if they don't have a developer already chosen, and in this economy, I mean,
They have spoke with developers, and they all say, what's the zoning on the property? And when they tell them we're going through the process, they say, well, contact us back when you know what the zoning is. So,
okay.
you know. Nobody will commit without knowing what the
Right,
zoning on the property is.
And
So,
you having worked for the city for so long, you know, once this property's annexed in, then the city, we have to provide sewer. So they could actually get annexed in, and we could zone it R22. It could sit there 5 years. The next people, or they could even come back at a later date, and they could ask for, I want the citizens to be aware, they could then ask for high-density zoning at that time. Because now you already would have sewer. So I want to understand there's some repercussions to annexing it in with no
Well, I mean,
project already
there's-
on the books.
even if you don't annex it and rezone it, soon as the moratorium's up, or the year, whichever's less, somebody could come back and ask to rezone it and annex it then. I mean, that's.
Right, but if we annex it in now, there's no I want everybody that thinks that there's no guarantee, because I think the lady here had a question. There's no guarantee that down the road, this wouldn't come back and be a high, but they would have to come back and go through the process
Right,
again.
and
That
that's,
is a
and that's with
given.
any property inside the city
Right.
limits, you know.
So I just want to make sure those were my only two issues. Thank you.
So, just, I want to say thank you to the family and Tim for working through this process. I don't know exactly when you all started, but it's certainly come along. Certainly better as a product as we are now. But I do have a question. So, you've got the one house that's left that is someone else's right there in the corner, right?
Yes.
And that's zoned R44 right now.
I don't know, right off the top of my head, I couldn't be for sure.
I guess kind of what I was thinking is and I see what you get in your plat, you know, I know it's just, you know, it's something to get done, to get an idea. I like the idea of the R44 and the R22. I'm just wondering if maybe you keep the three parcels, like, we're gonna annex them, we can still zone them for R44. and then zone the other parcel for R22. And I guess down the road, if you find a developer and you want to subdivide those, you can certainly ask, and, that's probably going to be easy. But I'm just wondering if you, instead of leaving that one parcel all alone by itself as the R44, you just go ahead and keep those single-family homes the same zoning. That's kind of what my thought is to the council. I mean, it's not really to you, but it's to the council. That's just my thought.
That would probably create an island, wouldn't it?
No?
No, it's just changing the zoning from 22 to 44. Well, it's already 44, so you're not changing it.
Well, no, it's A1, but to match the other one. Yeah, and we get what you're doing. I mean, it makes sense. But just go ahead and keep those three parcels like that. And as far as the condition goes, I'll have comments on those, but I'll wait and see what council has to say.
No, that was going to be my question, was about conditions as well, Bill, so we might want to all talk about this. I'm going to have a question or two. I completely understand what you're saying. I do get it. Especially, I'm glad that y'all agreeing to the HOA at 15%. And I completely understand about, because this is just like, it looks to me kind of like a yield plan, like a what you could do kind of thing. And not knowing where you could or would you lose a lot or not if you do the pavilion and the playground. I could see that happening, but at the same time, at a 3-to-1 slope in your retention, it is possible to amenitize that, but I know that's another cost burden. But I was just gonna see if y'all have ever looked into that possibility. But I do agree 100% about not needing the extra parking, because with those long driveways and garages, how many cars you gonna be able to fit in that driveway and garage? Like 8 cars? So there's really no need for street parking. It probably is gonna be Amazon trucks and stuff like that. But, so I do see the need of that, but I just wanted to ask the question about you say we don't have an area to fit those two. I tend to agree with you. But we haven't really ever seen a 3-to-1 slope amenitized properly either. So I don't know if y'all have seen those, or I don't know what council thought about that. Or just not have to do it, because I do understand that'd be more of a burden for the HOA as well. I don't want 30 people having to split the costs and making the HOA even higher, making it even harder to purchase and live in these homes. But I do want to, that is an option to amenitize the retention pond with some kind of pavilion or something maybe.
We hadn't discussed it. We just got the conditions at the end of last week. But it would be, I believe, a burden on the HOA, because you're going to have to do maintenance on keeping the grass cut, keeping the pavilion up, keeping the playground equipment good. And there's only going to be 32 houses in the subdivision. It would probably take most of the due money just to keep your grass cut. I mean, you cut grass for a living, you know what it costs. So,
Well, and let me
you know,
comment.
We, like I said, we don't have a problem with the conditions as far as the HOA, the no parking in the streets, the driveways, the garages. But when you get into the pavilion, the playground, and the overflow parking, that's actually taking property away from the little bit of property that's there. Yeah, that's the concern we have.
I think the other thing to keep in mind about a playground is the insurance requirements from the HOA. It's not just the build and the maintenance, that you have to carry general liability, and it's expensive for a playground.
Well, let me say this on the conditions. Last week when I called, Tim was asking for conditions, and when I called Danny, I'm going out of town, I need some help with this. He got with Robbie, and we just took a first stab, and when I got with Tim, I said, this is a first stab. It's a starting point. We'll talk about it Monday night. I totally agree. There's no reason to ask for any extra parking in this type of development. If it was a high-density RM4, then absolutely, there's an issue there, but not in this. So that was did we not talk about this, a first stab at conditions? And
Yes.
we would have discussion tonight more about conditions, so. I'm not one to ask for anything unreasonable. I realize it's going to be low 30s number of homes. We're not asking for a swimming pool with a clubhouse. Just something that would promote some kind of sense of community. We talk about this a lot in neighborhoods. And if we had just something that, has a gathering space for them to have maybe a summer barbecue, or one family wants to have a child's birthday party at the pavilion, or a space to have the HOA. Maybe there's a club in the neighborhood that wants to have a fitness class one day a week at the pavilion. Just something to promote a sense of community is what we're asking for. And I'm not asking for anything that's going to take away a lot of space where you've got to give up one of the homes either. So if we can fit something in, is what my vision would be.
I live in 55 and over, which may enter into this discussion, but we have a little, we have a little tiny clubhouse, and we use it all the time. I mean, we have socials there, we have, potlucks all the time, and Bible studies, and just whatever, and it does promote, like Lisa's saying, a bit of neighborhood fellowship. So be that as it may, I don't know about your purchasers. We don't know what the future holds, who's going to be buying and who's not, so but it is used.
Your neighborhood's R22 overlay?
I believe it is.
Yeah, so it was required
Was
under
it?
that zoning.
Well, to me, that's not my issue. My issue is just that it's used a lot.
Right.
But that may or may not enter into your decision, but we love it. I have a question about, y'all through administration. Robbie, I looked up the zoning, and there's a long list of things that should have been attached and should have been written and should have this and should have that. Is that important to this overall?
It depends on what you're asking.
Well, it's 1981, but down at the bottom it says, and 1982 talks about a staff review. Has that been done?
The staff review was done on the original application. It was not done on the Planning Commission.
Does it need to be?
I've spoken with the other departments. It's going to a less intense use, so the effects on the utilities should not be detrimental.
Okay, so you feel comfortable with that. The rest of the list is like 6, 7, plus A, B, C, D. Anyway, there's a lot of things that are supposed to be in writing from the applicant. But if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother me. I just wanted to make sure that it was okay legally.
Yeah, y'all's packets are big enough, so we try to give you just the staff analysis and the initial application. We try to skinny it down as much as possible.
Okay, so we're in good shape administratively. Okay, thank you. And I too would like to thank Tim. I thanked him already when I came in tonight. I think he did a good thing, a really good thing, working with the citizens and getting this narrowed down to R22. And we've all been asking, or not all of us, but some of us have been asking for the R22 or R44, anything but the high density, and you've given it to us, and I appreciate it. Y'all have given it to us, so thank you.
Ann?
Hey, I have two comments. One is I like Patty, I appreciate that everybody worked together, y'all made a change. I think Terry Parsons was instrumental, from what I understand, in some of that discussion, and I appreciate that work from him and all of y'all coming together. I support this. I think it's a great idea. The point I would like to make is, in my opinion, this is no different than what happened 2 months ago with the Revived Land Group on the parcel with Snell. And the problem is, at that point, is that the exact same thing happened, and everybody cried foul that they went around P&Z and they changed it up and they should have gone back and they were trying to go around the moratorium. And I think it's really unfortunate that when you had the same kind of thing where people tried to work with council and try to go to residential, we turned them down for the same reason that we're talking about voting for this. Now, I voted for that one and I'm going to vote for this one, but it feels very much the same to me and somewhat hypocritical that we think this is all great, and we didn't think that one was great. That's all.
That was on 78?
Mhm.
Wasn't it surrounded by commercial?
That's not what I'm talking about. The
Well,
big,
I mean, that would enter into our decision, I think.
it would, but the reason that we denied it, the reason I think you've said, and even Lisa and Melanie, I think, voted against it, because I looked in my notes, was that we went around it and that they should have to go back through it, and they were trying to get around the moratorium. And I think that they tried to work with the council and produce a product that was residential because they took away the townhomes, and we unfortunately denied a similar attempt to work with the city. So,
Now, if memory serves me correct, and I could be wrong, were they not asking for an RM4?
they were, and
Actually,
then they
they were
came back
asking
with
for
all single
RM6,
families.
I think, because they weren't so many feet from the well.
Let me just caution y'all that y'all are in discussion on the rezones and the annexations that are in front of you.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
And
I was just making a point. I
encourage
have
you to
nothing
stay
else to
on
say.
topic of this rezone and annexation. Sorry to interject.
With only 32 homes, I would hate to see this thing messed up because we're going to try to require a pavilion. It would be nice, but I don't see that it's our job to require that in this case. The zoning does not require it. We look at a bigger subdivision very close, and that's Ivy Creek, and they have no amenities over there. So just my thoughts.
Yep, good thoughts. Paul, can you comment, you and I had a discussion out here in the hallway, and you said, you made a very good point to me, and this was about talking about how we have a site plan. We don't know if this is ever going to be the plan or if it's going to change once you finally do have a developer. We don't know what's going to come out of the ground. And I was asking you questions, and you were giving me some advice on conditions. Can you recap that?
Just that,
Just some advice to the
that when
council.
you rezone the property to, let's say, R22, if that's a consideration, then it's rezoned subject to the stated mandates of R22, whatever they may be in your zoning ordinance. And that R22 is not a site plan specific zoning classification ordinance like a PUV, PD, PID, all those different ones. You all have a PUV. So that if there are metrics and standards that this council would want to be placed on the property beyond what is listed in your R22 zoning ordinance classification, those would need to be in the form of conditions. And that once those conditions are placed on the property, then the property is rezoned to R22 subject to those conditions, and the property cannot be developed without those conditions being met. It doesn't mean, though, that the site plan might not change, because normally what you have, as I believe the case is here, you have a concept site plan based upon what we call sort of overview topo maps and GIS maps, but they haven't done full engineering yet to know exactly where everything has to go, specifically detention ponds and topo and moving dirt and those sort of things. So the actual footprint site plan can change once you get into engineering, but what controls in the future is that it's subject to R22, whatever those metrics are in your zoning ordinance, plus any zone-specific or property-specific conditions that this council may consider placing on the property, or conditions that the applicant has offered up as a condition of zoning.
So is it wise for us to talk about conditions now or wait until this property comes out of the dirt?
No, if y'all are going to consider rezoning it to anything, and there are certain conditions you want to address, then it would be appropriate to dig into those
Right.
conditions now or on Thursday at the time of your vote, should you choose to vote a rezone of this
And
property.
I 100% agree, and if we all will remember, down the street, around the corner, across the street, there is a development coming out of the ground now that, you know, as long as I've been on council and been involved here, I was told it was going to be cottages, 55 and older, age restricted. And I feel like if we don't address these things now, we don't know what's actually going to come out of the dirt down the road.
That's true.
So I guess with that being said, I'll work with you all. If you all will send me what you want for conditions, what you don't want, and I'll get with Paul and he'll get with Tim, and we'll try to get these wrinkles ironed out before Thursday.
I'm okay with the first ones. I don't have an issue knocking out the overflow parking, a playground, or a pavilion. I think it's small enough that it doesn't require it. It would be a burden on the HOA. Everything above there, I would be fine with what they've agreed to.
Likewise, I'm good with that as well. I mean, I've lived in a neighborhood with 37 homes for 20 years. we don't have a pavilion. We do rent one out each year for our annual meeting. You know, I'm sure other neighborhoods that are small like that may have the opportunity to do the same thing. But, you know, ideally, I would love, like, I do like the space, you know, if it can be incorporated. But going for this, you don't have a plan yet. So once we make these conditions, you know, they're going to come back at some point with the plat, and, you know, maybe the new developer will have something. But I'm okay with the way.
Yeah, when they come back with a plat, though, there's nothing for us to, you know, it's a done deal
Sure.
at that point. So let me ask this, what about, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the R22 zoning does not require an enclosed garage?
Correct.
Are you all okay with the condition? Okay. The roads and the project shall be public? Roads will be 28 feet wide? The HOA maintains the common property within the property and responsible for maintaining upkeep? And help me out, Danny, I know we talked about this, not my expertise, but the no vinyl siding?
I don't know if there's building standards, Robbie, is there? I didn't think so. But you would have to put a standard, what do you want to see?
And that was
That was
one of the
listed.
conditions
It was listed
that
already. Yes, you're right,
that we
you're right.
agreed to,
Yep.
was no vinyl siding.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and of course, no street parking enforced by the HOA. And I don't know if there's anyone here that lives around the exterior, the perimeter of the property that would like to see usually we talk about a fence. Is there anyone here that lives in any home backing up to these properties? Okay, and council, how do y'all feel about a fence?
I think the homeowners, if they want them, they'll put them up.
Okay,
And if I may,
Most of them will.
if I may say something, on the very back of the property, the north end of the property, there's a creek that runs the whole length of the property that has a 75-foot buffer that you wouldn't be able to put a fence up anyway. You wouldn't be able to get into that buffer.
okay. And then two more is, to be consistent with what we've done in the past, is the HOA would allow no more than 10% of the number of homes as rental.
Or the 15 that was recommended? Who was that recommended by? Was that by planning commission?
No, it
They
was
were just a
by
list of conditions
council
that
and
staff came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was crystal clear with Tim, that was just the first stab at those conditions. That was nothing ironclad and put in stone. It was for to get discussion going for
And we
tonight.
have no problem agreeing to the 15%.
I'm saying 10%.
Okay.
Okay, and then last is, and I don't know, Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've seen site plans come in with hammerheads on them. We've made that condition, no hammerheads on the roads.
That's
That's
covered
in-
by code. There's no
Okay.
need to put that as a stipulation.
Okay,
I just want to make sure that somewhere in all of these conditions, while we know it is, I just want to put it in writing, that the HOA will maintain and be responsible for any repairs of that detention pond. Does that need to be, as, it's already going to be covered?
That's in the development agreement.
It's already in your development regs.
Okay.
and then lastly, let me say, in my neighborhood, when I look down the street, the retention pond's at the end of my street, and we have Leland cypress trees that surround it, and it's a nice little buffer, so I don't have to see that retention pond every day. So I don't know if that's also included in our current regulations, to have some kind of a landscaping around the retention pond.
Not since it went to a, was it 4-to-1 slope?
4-to-1 slope doesn't require it.
Because it's not a hole in the ground now, it's just a,
Got to be 4-to-1.
Yeah, my bad. I
swale.
said 3-to-1 earlier, I meant 4-to-1.
Yeah, and I think the purpose of the buffer is for easy on the eye, so that you're not looking at a retention pond, not because it's a hole in the ground or a 4-to-1 slope.
Well, usually, I think when we decided to go with the 4-to-1 slope is especially to help us, people that used to do the grass and retention ponds, you just cut them when you cut the front of the neighborhood. Because you can get your mowers in there easily at all, and it's usually a lot better well kept if it's 4-to-1, and it kind of gives an area for when it's not flooded, people could use as a common space. Among a bunch of other reasons why.
No,
but
no, I
that's how
agree.
remember.
I agree, but again, you're still looking at a retention pond. It doesn't matter if it's a hole in the ground or a 4-to-1 slope, it's still a retention pond. So for me, I would like to see some kind of a buffer of landscape trees, so you're not looking at a retention pond, because there's houses on both sides. I mean, there's houses right there.
We're doing that in the city right now. Without a buffer.
There's places you cannot put trees or shrubs in the retention pond for the spillway, but we do have a very in-depth retention stormwater policy that the council created, so
Okay.
I don't know if there's a need to.
No, I
keep
feel like
putting-
if those people that lived in those two houses didn't want to look at that, they could just put up a fence.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that, because it is supposed to be a less intrusive pond, and done right, it would allow to be just grass cut, but the key word is done right.
Okay, that's all I have, if you guys have anything else. No? All right, well, I'll get these conditions to Paul, and I guess you'll get with Tim this week, the applicant, and we'll have them ready for Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good.
Next up on our agenda is the moratorium, and the current moratorium is set to expire between the two council meetings next month, so on Thursday night, we'll take a vote to extend the moratorium.
Okay.
All right, and then last on our agenda is the code rewrite. We all have in our packet the three companies that submitted, responded to the RFP. So just want to open up for discussion, see how you guys want to handle the process of how we're going to choose which of the three.
Just, my first thought is when, and there's may have been something else, but when we did the traffic study, we had a committee that reviewed it. I think on that traffic study, we had Danny, Brandon, I was the Utilities and Traffic Committee member, so I sat in on it, and I think there was one other person. It was Robbie, because Robbie did the grant, I believe. But anyway, just to that's one way that we handled that solicitation. So we sat in, reviewed it, came up with a ranking, and then came back and presented it to council. But that's just one way of doing it.
I think the document itself says that the staff will present the good, bad, and ugly about each one and give us the information. Am I correct in that?
I don't know if it's a grading system. It does say what we would grade it on, but as far as selection committee, I don't believe it was addressed. Staff's, Robbie, you can jump in if you want to. Staff would recommend that myself, Robbie, Paul, and maybe another engineer from Kecklenwood who does our plan review would review these. Certainly, it's a discussion for y'all to say if you want somebody from the council to serve on that as well, but we would come back and make a recommendation on that committee to you all, and then you would make the final decision.
Yeah, and I'll just echo, I mean, it's really wanting direction from y'all because we got the RFQ out there, but y'all have full power to do it however you want to. I would recommend that staff finish a full review, which I know they've started. And really, I guess my suggestion would be, the question from you guys is, do you want them to come back to you with this is our recommended consultant, or do you want them to come back to you with a full grade of all three applicants so that you can then consider from there and choose any of the three? You have full authority to choose any of the three you want to. It's an RFQ. It's not a competitive bid process. And then also really wanting to understand, I don't recommend this, but wanting to understand, y'all may say, we just want to interview them all. And if you want to interview them all, then we'll call them and get them in here. But I think it's really more because I know y'all are concerned about this, and we want y'all to be in the process, of course. I do think the right thing to do is for staff to continue reviewing it and finalizing it. But I think staff wanted to hear from you. Do you want them to say, this is choice A, number one, and that's it? Or do you want them graded and just end up with the top two, or come back to you with all three?
Didn't the RFQ have a grading system in it?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, it absolutely did, or does. But again, the question is how do y'all want to proceed forward with it?
I would think, y'all tell me, that everybody would be okay if its staff came and gave us the top 2 recommendations.
I'd like to be a lot more hands-on than that. Just from reading this, they can put anything they want in writing, but until you talk to people and you get a feel for how they are, you don't know if you, I mean, they can come back and say, you know, this one is the best. And then we meet them in person and our personalities don't mesh. I think getting people in a room and seeing how, because we're gonna be very enmeshed in doing this. This is a big responsibility for whoever's on council to do. And I just think that seeing people in person or talking to them in person, you get a better idea of how you interact with them and their attitude towards us as well as our attitudes towards them. So I would like to interview them personally, but again, that's just my opinion.
Does the interview have to be in person, like in an open meeting like this? Can it be virtual?
Paul, if I
It would
can,
need to be in an open meeting, but it certainly could be virtual.
Okay.
Paul,
Yes.
the evaluation process that was outlined is responsible to be reviewed by an evaluation committee comprised of city employees and/or authorized agents.
Yeah. So your staff's asking you for direction on how you want to proceed because everybody's so interested in this. And again, none of them is the right way. It's just which way do y'all want? Either tell your staff to evaluate and come back with the choice, or tell your staff to evaluate and come back with the top 2, or just a grade, and then set up interviews on 1, 2, or 3 from there.
Back to Melanie's or Lisa's question. She said, does it have to be an open forum with all of us if we did interviews, or?
If y'all are convening, it
Yeah.
would have to be an open meeting. If it is a staff committee with a liaison from you guys, it would not necessarily have to be in an open meeting during, you know, a called session. So normally you see staff do it and maybe one liaison sits on that committee.
Who was the liaison?
Whomever y'all want it to be.
Are you saying one of us?
Yes, I'm saying
Okay.
it could be. It doesn't even have to be. It could just be a committee of staff that you say, go give me final, numbers on who you think it should be. And that committee could include a liaison from the council that sits. Totally up to you guys.
I mean, I think we should consider approaching this like we interview everybody else, where we put together a list of questions. Maybe each of us has 2 that we want to have answered. And then, Lisa, it seems like your committee or you should be the liaison. I mean, that makes the most sense. And then maybe we do the questions to staff and let staff do the initial and get the answers to the questions, which will give us a further place to dive deeper into a finalization.
Yep, I like that. I like that too, but what do y'all think about after that? Have each company come in and just make a small, short presentation just so we can see
Yeah, I
them?
think that'd be great. Sure.
As long as we can, as long as we can see them, that's important to me. Because I might have this group at the bottom of the pile, but after talking to them, they blow my socks off. But they didn't come across on paper that way. So I think it's very important, and I think a working relationship can't be based on what you read on a piece of paper.
Yep, okay. So are we all agreeing that we let staff go through the process? We come up with a committee with the liaison, we submit questions, and then once we've decided, have them all 3 come in and present, and then we'll make final decision?
And when do we anticipate that would be?
I mean, I would think, I'm open, y'all, let's all submit our questions right away. I mean, I don't see any reason to delay.
From a staff perspective, yes, we need this going as quickly as possible because the moratorium
Right.
is,
The time bomb is ticking.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So my only concern is if y'all gonna give us a list of questions and we ask them, and then y'all turn around and interview them again, you're gonna ask more questions, so why don't, that's redundant.
Right.
Well, I don't think we were saying we would interview them, we just have them come
Oh.
in and make a presentation.
But
Well,
one
we know if they
question
come in and
leads to
present, you're gonna
another.
ask questions. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So,
What questions would y'all want to ask them? I don't know enough about rezoning matters and how you go about it to have much of a question.
Well, my point was not because I have a question. My point was that I think that we have to let staff do their jobs because they know the most about the code.
I agree.
And let them I just thought that maybe it would make people on our side feel better if we gave them, what is your experience with XYZ kind of code? I mean, I don't know, I'm just making it up, but just to give some guidance that might make us feel better. I'm fine taking staff recommendations because that's what they're there for.
Let's rely on the experts.
I agree.
And if we have a question after they go through it, well, I'm sure we'll be able to ask it, but I don't know about coming up with a list, and then that, whatever they say is going to end up with me always. Paul will verify this, another question. And it just goes on and on and on, And I'm not an expert in this at all. And I would rather let the experts put it together and then.
So what I'm hearing is let staff do further analysis on these three applicants, and they can conduct, phone interviews and the like, and then come back to you with a grade matrix of these three applicants next month, and then based upon that, y'all can make a decision on having a called meeting. It would have to work around their schedules to probably set up virtual meetings, because I know some of them are out of state, some of them are close by. There's sort of a mix. And then y'all could conduct your interviews. I would highly suggest that each interviewee, if y'all are going to be conducting the interviews, that y'all set self-imposed rules and restrictions on the time of those interviews to keep everybody moving along. And then from there, you can make a decision. So if you did that, just talking this out loud, September meeting, then you could do a called meeting in between September and October, and that'd give you the ability, if you're ready, to select a consultant at the October meeting. That would probably be pretty good timing, because then staff and my office could work with them for their service agreement, which you'd still have to come back and approve into this year, and then that way they can get rolling at the beginning of the calendar year on their efforts.
My ask of staff would be for them to rank them 1, 2, and 3, and why. Ultimately, when they make the recommendation, I would love for you to say, we would go with these people, and why.
Well, there's 5 criteria, I believe, that we have to grade them on.
Perfect.
So we're sitting here, August 11th. If you were to make your staff committee go ahead and review these things, you've got a scoring system, you can rank them. But there are also 3 different proposals. I mean, you got to consider, they've got timelines that are different, and you all have to look at that. If you were to rank that between now and before, I don't know how quick you could do it, but is there any possibility that you could do it and then say by next work session, we either, we have the teams provide a, 5 to 10 minute presentation so that we get to know them. And then by that following council day, we get to make a selection. I don't know. Is that too aggressive to do this?
I can tell you that myself and my staff have already been evaluating these.
Okay,
We started evaluating them the second we got them, so.
sure.
Well, I wonder too if it wouldn't be better, rather than interviewing them, if they just did a presentation. If they just did a video, all 3 were limited to a 5-minute presentation via video to council.
I was thinking the same thing.
Instead of doing
Yep.
an interview, and then we choose based on that. I think that that's a lot cleaner.
Bill, I believe you were thinking maybe we could get a decision by September. Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, what I'm hearing over
That's what
here,
we'd
that's
like
too
to do.
aggressive, and Robbie's,
It's whatever y'all want, we'll figure it out. The only caution that I would give you is that changing your code is a involved process. And, take the carpenter approach, measure twice and cut once versus measuring once and cutting twice. Changing your zoning ordinance, I don't care how good you are, will always result in the law of unintended consequences. You have to understand that, be prepared for that. Your constituents need to understand it. Like, it's a process in improving and getting better, and you're still gonna find little things, underneath this rock and that rock when you unturn it. So, staff and my office will go as fast as you want us to, but I would just highly caution you to contemplate the old carpenter's rule of measure twice and cover.
We're going to measure twice by September's meeting.
Do any of these have deadlines that we have to choose by?
No, none of them that I saw had any deadlines.
So the one from, I don't know, one of them that I read said, this is good until July 18th.
July 18th, it said, yeah.
2025 or something.
7/18/2026, so.
Is that what it was, 2026?
But I mean, if we're already trying to rush this process, now you've got me worried about the whole thing in general. I don't see I understand we have people waiting, we have to be actively moving. But again, if we don't get the right person, this whole thing's gonna blow up in our face. And a 5-minute video, I mean,
So if Melanie wants to talk to someone face-to-face and,
I guess I'll pick up the phone and call them.
well, that's my question. Can Melanie pick up the phone and call them?
Okay.
Yes.
I don't see this as being rushed, even if staff, like Robbie said, they've already been reviewing it. I'm sure they probably already have a favorite one or two. And even if they do a grade matrix, I think, I still wouldn't call it rushing. And I think they'd be honest with us if we come back next month, and even before next month, they might come back to us a week before and say, would y'all be okay with giving us an extra couple of weeks or something? I think they'd be very fair and honest with us. I don't think they would do a bad job at this. So even if I don't want it to feel rushed, and that's why I don't think it is.
Well, I just listened to Paul and Danny say that seems aggressive, and Bill's going, can we have it at the next work session? So somewhere in there feels a rush. That's all
So
I'm saying.
how about we grade them based on the RFQ. Staff will make a recommendation 1, 2, and 3. That'll come before the work session.
Okay.
That'll give us, because I gotta have the agenda out September 2nd. That is 2 weeks from tomorrow. That gives me, well, a little bit more than 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 3 days to get the agenda to y'all. There's no way I can schedule a meeting with them, have a meeting. So let us grade them.
We look at the
We'll
grading.
come to the September council meeting. By then, we'll try to have some Zoom meetings. You all have to be available for a called meeting, if we can do it, because getting 3 companies out of state, I doubt it's gonna be on the same day. And then what I'm hearing is, no matter what staff does, you still wanna talk to them. So you interview them all and then pick. We'll make a recommendation based on the criteria. Because I think what staff does, there's going to still be council members that say, well, I wanted to do it.
I trust staff, but I mean, I get it. I'm sure if we had questions and
Now
asked
you
y'all,
see
y'all could
why it was on the
ask
agenda.
them for us, but
Well, we'll have you, the top 3 based on what was an RFQ to you at the September work session.
all good.
Okay, well, is that everything? Everybody good on this? Okay, Mayor, that's all Planning and Development has for this month,
Well, I would hope so.
for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Lisa. We'll move now to Finance, Human Resources. Ann Hunsinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 items. The first item is a renewal of ClearGov, which is our budgeting platform subscription. Total cost is $36,720. The details of the invoice are in your packet. If nobody has any questions, or if you do, I would like to put this on consent if there's no objections.
Good for me.
Okay?
Everybody okay with consent?
Yep.
Consent it is.
The next item I have is the mill rate. We will have to vote on this, I believe, on Thursday, is that right? But this is to set the Gwinnett side mill rate at 7.702 mils, and the Walton County rate for the city at 9.78 mils, which is a rollback rate with a 2.97%. So I'd put it on consent if I could, but I can't, so I won't.
That's fine. We do have to vote on that.
And Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay, very good. Okay, then we'll move next to Public Safety Committee. Are you ready? Melanie Long.
I am. I have nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Dave Nabbitt. Okay. We'll move then from Public Utilities Transportation Committee. Bill DeBall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first item is a variance request for Fuller Station, presented by the utilities, Brandon Phillips. So is there anyone here to speak on behalf of that? Okay, so Smith Douglas Homes is going to be, y'all can come up. So the application is for a variance within the homes. This is the proposed development down there at Tommy Lee Fuller, Toller Station. And we'll go ahead and let them dive in. You introduce yourself with who you are, where your address is, and then tell us what your variance is.
Okay, my name is Carl Enderle. I'm Associate General Counsel at Smith Douglas Homes. I live at 3712 Summer Rose Court in Atlanta. You have the director's recommendation that you deny a request. It's phrased as a variance request, but it was my understanding it was an administrative modification request. Seems to me that the city's utility standards was drafted to address just such an instance as this. I'm paraphrasing, but the standards provide that under extenuating circumstances, with the city's permission, that these sewer lateral cleanouts are allowed to be in the driveways, provided that there's language on the plat that the driveways remain or are a homeowner responsibility. So if the city comes in, has to do work, and has to tear up the driveway, the homeowner's responsible for it. Here, the extenuating circumstances are these. The sewer laterals, the entire sewer system has been installed. It would be a great expense, time, to tear all these up and relocate them. It's not possible for us to comply with 2 provisions, driveway width requirements and keeping sewer cleanouts out of the driveways at the same time without incurring that extra expense and time getting this development off the ground, building in there. We request that the city grant our request based on that. I'm not sure what the city's concerns are. Here, in a townhome development, the driveways are generally a homeowner responsibility anyway. So we're not looking for the city to shift a responsibility that otherwise doesn't belong to a homeowner onto the homeowner. It would just be kind of business as usual for the homeowner. I believe water meters were mentioned as well in the denial recommendation. That was not part of our variance, our administrative modification request, but I thought I might address that as well. The director is saying, asking that we provide an as-built. The problem with an as-built is that it shows infrastructure as it is installed. Currently, there are water meters that are within a driveway. We provided the director with plans that show relocation of these water meters outside of the driveway, but that hasn't been done yet. So we would request that the plans be approved, the proposals be approved, and that we can provide as-built as we build building by building. And the way the city can hold our feet to the fire and keep us honest with regard to that is withholding COs or any other permits if we don't put the water meters where we say we're going to put them. That's pretty much all I have. I can turn it over to David to address any technical issues or technical on-the-ground things.
If you guys have any questions regarding the sewer cleanouts being in the driveway, this is done Metro Atlanta wide in townhome subdivisions. There are traffic rated sewer cleanouts that are specifically designed for driveways so that there aren't damages done to the cleanouts by cars driving over the top of them. I don't think we're asking anything that hasn't been done in other cities. I don't know that it's ever been done here, but it's definitely done in Gwinnett County and in other municipalities. So that's the main issue is, as far as technical goes, is that there are traffic-rated sewer cleanout covers designed specifically for driveways.
Sure. And so the current zoning allows for two and 3-bedroom townhomes. As you say, you are proposing to do 3-bedroom and that townhomes, correct?
Correct.
And then because of that brings this issue with the driveway size,
Correct.
which causes a conflict with the
installed sewer laterals.
installed sewer laterals. And from my discussions with the city, that, there are conflicts with the existing utilities that we, are concerned about. We are concerned about, these cleanouts within the driveways. We are trying to keep a consistency across the city. Let's see, I don't know, anybody do you all have any questions? Ann?
How many total townhomes are there in this property?
There's 131 townhomes, and there are approximately 20 to 26 sewer laterals. We're not exactly sure how many will fit in those driveways, because as we're building, we can shift the driveways a little bit to make it fewer, but maximum of 26 sewer laterals would be in driveways out of the 131.
And this was originally built, everything was platted as a 2-bedroom?
No, it was platted with zoning as 2 or 3 bedroom.
2 or 3?
Yes.
But,
Originally, I think the developer was going to do 2,
Oh, okay.
I think.
right, so
I don't know.
would a solution be for you to just make these 20 2-bedroom townhomes?
No, because we don't have a design for a 2-bedroom townhome. We bought the property with regards of making or building 3-bedroom townhomes. That's
Okay,
why the zoning was done that way.
okay.
When I read this, it bugs the heck out of me that we think 10 years from now, if the house gets sold and bought by somebody else, somebody's going to tell them, hey, if we have to dig up your driveway, it's on you. And how many of them are going to pay it? And they say, well, we didn't know that. My real estate person didn't tell me that. And we know it's going to happen. It bugs me. It really does. That's a lousy solution, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, they keep coming back every couple of months with another problem. I mean, we've already been over backwards to help them out, and they bought a piece of property, and it sounds like you didn't do your due diligence. And now you're coming here, just keep asking every time, can we move the sidewalks? Can we get rid of the beauty strip? Can we do this? Now you want to put sewer cleanouts in the driveways, and I agree with Ann. Those 20 or 26 houses, can you not just reduce the footprint or whatever so that you can get if you don't want to dig it up yourself and move it now, can you not just build the house according to the
So digging up the sewer laterals would require cutting a road that we've already, for the city, improved that road, spent almost $300,000 digging up that road and redoing it and making it so it's a nice public road for you. If we dug up the sewer main goes through the middle of the road. So if we were to move those sewer laterals, we would have to dig up the road to attach the new sewer laterals and to close off the old sewer laterals. The city standards for repairing that road after the cut is to add 12 inches of concrete on top of that pipe, which would be, there's 6 inches of concrete on the driveway versus 12 inches of concrete on a sewer lateral under a paved road. So it wouldn't make sense to move the laterals. And as far as, the townhomes are concerned, the size of the townhomes, the zoning allows the 3-bedroom townhomes. And that's why we purchased the property, was because it was approved for 3-bedroom townhomes. The plan was approved, the as-bills were approved, everything was approved for it to be 3-bedroom townhomes.
Bill, let's go, he just brought the streets up. They did core samples over there, correct?
Correct.
And they failed. Has the road been?
That's why we repaired the road.
Okay,
We
so-
dug the road all the way down to the subgrade and built it back
And
up.
did you
It's a
not
brand new
realize you were
road.
going to have a problem with these sewers at the time when you had it all dug up?
No, we didn't realize that there was a problem with the sewer laterals until we submitted the first building permits, and we realized that the zoning required, or not the zoning, but the, I guess it's a zoning condition, required an 18-foot driveway for a 3-bedroom townhome. And when we submitted the building permits with 18-foot driveways, that's when we were told we can't have the sewer laterals in the driveway. Your ordinance does allow for this specific case that with an administrative modification, sewer laterals can be in the driveway, under the driveway. And that's why we have brought this forward to the city council.
Well, and I think the intent of this administrative modification is, I've got these few scenarios. You're saying 26, it was 20 in your application, now you're saying 26.
I believe I said
131.
approximately 20.
You did. So, that's I don't know. Talking to Brandon, I actually asked him point blank, I said, if you had one, would you allow it? He's like, maybe, and I was like, if you had more than one? So, I don't know. It's a lot. Any council have anything else? Any other questions?
I'd just like to hear from Brandon. Based on what you've heard, Brandon, it's still denial from you?
So, Steve Allen originally redesigned this. When he bought the property, he redesigned it and relocated all the laterals to accommodate 2-bedroom townhomes. 3 bedrooms is allowed, I guess under the current zoning, but it was originally designed by him. He went ahead and redesigned everything, relocated everything for 2-bedroom. So them wanting to add that extra square footage also increases the width of the driveway, as he discussed, but it also causes conflict with all the sewer that he had already relocated previous to them buying it. So for me, I don't really agree with them coming in and just, because they want to add an extra bedroom, and that we should just allow our utilities to be under driveways now because of that reason. So that's my.
Because normally that wouldn't be allowed, correct?
No, not, well, as he stated, unless you want the homeowner to be responsible for the utilities under the driveways.
And is there any other neighborhood in the city of Loganville that has these sewer cleanouts in the driveway?
You might have 1 or 2, like I think.
Like 1 or 2 homes, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
you got like Laurel Mist, I think maybe had a couple like in a cul-de-sac where it was awkward, but other than that, it's very few.
So basically, this would be going completely off the reservation and doing something that could, again, as we always talk about, precedent setting. Then you allowed it for one, you're gonna have to look down the road and allow it for others. And this isn't something that we, as a city, and you as a staff, want to happen. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
So, we can put things on consent if we all agree to it.
Agree to what?
If we agree to
To denying it or approving
Yeah, well, I
it?
would say, I'd
We
propose
have
we.
to vote on
deny
a
it.
variance.
Yeah,
do
we
not?
have to.
Attorney just jumped out.
I would just suggest y'all leave this one off the consent if
Well,
there's,
yeah.
if there's split desires on the council.
Well, that's the question, is there a split desire?
Yes.
I don't know, because I don't know what everybody thinks.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He wanted to put it on consent, but is he
Yeah, I
consenting
would
to
like
the
to take
fact
a-
that the staff
No,
denies
I would like to
it?
take a vote.
I'd like-
Yeah, I think we need to vote on
We'll
it.
take a vote. We'll vote on it Thursday. So we'll move my second item, and that is, good stuff. So we got our bids in. Man, we had 10 bids for doing asphalt, which is fantastic. A good spread on the range on the cost. The Keck and Wood reviewed the 3 lowest bidders, 3 successful lowest responsive bids. Summit Construction Development is the lowest bid at $377,237. They've reviewed that bid and it is eligible. Made a recommendation to us to approve it. Danny went ahead and requested, I'm losing, I'll go back to this. Danny requested a 7% contingency to be included. It's pavement. You're always going to have something it's gonna happen, a little more milling here or there, whatever, but, so at a 7% contingency, that is $403,365 for paving, out of the 2025 LMIG. So, any questions?
What are we gonna be paying?
Ma'am?
Did you say ma'am?
Yes?
What- Oh.
Yes, you did, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Oh, gosh. Okay, what exactly are we gonna be paying? The 403? Because I went back and did the 403, and then we get the 196, and are we gonna be out of pocket 403,000?
So, the bid is 377,000.
Okay,
And we have a 7% contingency included for Danny to overrun in case we have to.
okay, so that's 7% included in the 403.
Correct.
So it's really three set, whatever you just said.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So with that, I'd like to put that on consent.
And that's not gonna be
And that is-
paid in addition to the grant, that's just, the grant's included, I mean, all that money, we're gonna pay the three, whatever, okay.
Correct.
just- Okay,
So
I'm
Consent
good.
agenda?
I'm good with consent.
good with consent?
Yep,
Everybody
yep.
okay?
Sure.
Very good, let's do that.
All right. And then the third thing on my list is GDOT reached out to us, as they do each year, and said, hey, you need to get your grant together requests, which takes a resolution. This is for the 2026 Local Maintenance Improvement Grant, which is LMIG. The city has to contribute 30%. So what's available is $196,153 with our contribution of $58,000 brings the total LMIG for 2026 to $254,999.67. The city has a resolution for the mayor to sign, and just want to make sure everybody is okay with that, if we can put that on consent. We like money.
Consent?
Yep.
Consent, okay.
And with that, I have no other action.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
We move now to Public Works Facilities.
Time to talk
Patty Wolf.
trash, yes. Public Works Trash Report, Jeremy's here tonight, raise your hand, Jeremy. We love Jeremy and his team. Total litter pickup, 155 pounds. And Public Works Chipping Report, total stops, 468, total tons, 29.5. Thank you, Jeremy and team. Y'all always do great work. They're in the city doing all kinds of work. You'll see them along the way, and they'd probably love for you to stop and say hi. Good group of guys. Thank you, Jeremy and team. That's all I got. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm just
That's
sitting
all
here.
right. Just checking. Very good. Okay, now we'll move to Economic Development. Brandon Whitfield.
Thank you, Skip. Sorry I had to spring this on us tonight. We've had two recently in the last week, and one is obviously Sam's on Main. I believe, Patty, you've talked to Sam as well on this issue. And with the Boston Crab.
Maryland.
They're doing a food truck,
Maryland Grab.
Maryland Crab. Is that what I
Well,
thought?
they are. Oh,
Yeah, so they got a food truck now too.
okay.
And they're setting up at Braxton's under a, like a nonprofit kind of deal. And I don't know a lot of the legalities of a lot of this. I kind of want to bring it up as a discussion so we could all kind of learn more about it and maybe find a solution. I know we're about to redo all of our code, but I do believe people are really wanting more restaurants and stuff on Main Street. So I do think maybe finding a solution, maybe to have like a event rental or like a space for food trucks in downtown. However, we want to discuss, obviously, we need to talk to Paul about all this. That's why I want to bring it up as a council to discuss, to figure out a solution if that's something we want to pursue about doing food trucks in downtown instead of coming up with a code that allows them anywhere and everywhere in Loganville. Me personally, I feel like we need to concentrate on having an area, and since we have a lot of city-owned property in downtown, that would make the most logical sense to me where to start from. But Paul, would you have any suggestions or anything about food trucks in our code?
So food trucks hit on a lot of different areas of code. You really, for a food truck to really roll up there and comply with everything, they have to have usually between 4 and 5 different approvals. So when you say, hey, we want to be able to have food trucks in our town, it's not just y'all, it's a little bit broader. And back in 2023, the state legislature changed some of the laws because of the food truck popularity. You can do a municipal food truck lot. You can identify an area and pass a real simple resolution that says, we allow food trucks here without any additional permitting, et cetera. But generally, the property has to be zoning compliant. So I think the reason why you've heard from staff that you can't do food trucks is because there's nowhere in your zoning ordinance that permits food trucks right now. So it's just, is it a permitted use under your zoning ordinance? That's the first issue. The second issue is if you're going to have any sort of permitting or regulatory regime in place for food trucks. Several cities have very basic regulations that say essentially the following. You have to be in a properly zoned location. You have to have permission from the property owner, or you have to have a right-of-way permit or a public property permit from the city. And this is the biggie that most people don't realize and understand is a properly licensed food truck has to have a home base. It has to have a commissary. And so in the regulatory regime under the Department of Public Health, or Department of Public Health, which has the Department of Environmental Health under it that controls these, they're called MFSEs, Mobile Food Service Establishment. So the Mobile Food Service Establishment is the food truck. It has to have a home base, and that commissary location is the county, the Department of Public Health county that issues its license. And so the law that changed in 2023 allows that license to apply to all 159 counties as to the, what you think of as your restaurant permit or your environmental health permit, your food score grade that you see on the side of a restaurant wall when you go in. That permit now, wasn't the case for 2023, applies all across the state. There's still a regulatory regime to where if you have a food truck and your commissaries in, say, Gwinnett County, you still have to file one more piece of paper with environmental health to be approved to operate it in Walton County. But they can't make you get a second environmental health permit out of the Walton County Department of Environmental Health. But then you either have to have a business license at your commissary location, which is the most common, and then y'all decide, do you want to require a business license or a temporary food truck permit or a peddler's license is one of the questions. So it's not just changing your zoning ordinance. A lot of jurisdictions put it on the fire marshal's department to then inspect for safety the use of the
Fire suppressant and stuff
yeah,
like that.
well, it's just, I mean, it's, you know, several things. You have, I won't get into the fire marshal can get into it, but I mean, there are a lot of things at play because you have mobile power sources. Is it properly grounded? You have grease traps. You have natural gas. Is there the proper fire suppressant hood? You know, you have the diesel or gas engine that's running, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. So, y'all tell staff and me what y'all want, and we'll go to the process of, you know, getting together a structure for you. But it's not just, let's modify our zoning ordinance to say that food trucks are allowed inside the CBD. That is one step. But if you're gonna do it full bore, and not every jurisdiction does, there's lots of jurisdictions that still don't have food truck regulations in place, but they allow them to come in as long as they basically show proof of their commissary, their environmental health, and they buy either like a temporary sales permit or a peddler's license, or they just buy a business license for that location. And a lot of your zoning ordinances these days have food trucks permitted as a matter of right in lots of locations, particularly CBDs, even though the local jurisdiction doesn't have any food truck regulations in place per se, because the zoning regulates it and governs it, and the Department of Environmental Health regulates it from a food safety perspective. So it's a pretty involved process. Most people go grab a truck and start slinging food out of it. Usually it's great. But and there are a lot of good trade organizations in place. There's a Georgia Food Truck Association, there's an Atlanta Food Truck Association, those guys and gals all do a good job of promoting what the right rules are. Y'all just need to decide, you know, do you want a local location? We declare that this city block is accessible for food trucks with the purchase of a permit or whatever, and then, you know, staff can put those metrics in place. But it involves, usually the biggest issue is just because they come and get a peddler's permit from you or whatever, do they have the Department of Environmental Health commissary license for their commissary location? And do they also have an approved MFSE license for the actual food truck from the Department of Environmental Health?
So I talked with a food truck advocate as well, told me a lot of that. I know the ones that were wanting to come in do have shared kitchens, generally in Gwinnett County. And they have talked to, they've done a lot of those steps is what, and I believe the ones that we'd have to have something in place, like they would have to fill out even like just like an application or something just to be there. And then on that application would have all that
Correct.
listed on
Yeah,
there.
if you want there
Which
to be
I
a
think
full-
was the easiest way to do this without getting too in the weeds, 'cause I know we're about to redo all of our code.
Yeah.
So this might be something that needs to be touched up, or needs to be, when we talk to these companies about our code.
Yeah, it would certainly be something within your zoning code.
Yeah.
And they would say permitted uses. But outside of that, if y'all want some simple, basic regulatory compliance, it would be a $25 permit to operate within the four corners of CBD for a period not to exceed 72 hours. And the permit must come with the following things: their Department of Environmental Health, you know, and let me just be very candid with you. That's going to eliminate a lot of the people that want to show up and be your food trucks, because there are a lot of them out there that operate. There's plenty of them out there that operate correct. There's a lot of them that don't operate with
Yeah.
all the things, because if you read the
Won't
Department
operate
of
right.
Health regs, they don't even allow shared kitchens. Everybody has to have an independent commissary.
Well,
Now,
while we're
what a
talking,
commissary is subject to debate, and I mean, that's not my lane, but
well, since we're talking about that, something that I've noticed over the years, and I tried to do something about it, and it's a losing battle. All these barbecue places are popping up in all these gas stations. Would that fall under this, anything we did with food trucks? Or, you know, they're not getting their peddler's license. You ask them, you go up, they don't have one. Just a bunch of guys decide to cook barbecue in a parking lot.
yeah, so, I'm sure I've bought plenty of barbecue
I'm sure I
sandwiches.
have too. I have too, but I'm just saying.
But yeah, there's two sides to that. A, do they have the proper environmental health regulation approval? Probably not. And then B, peddler's license or some sort of temporary food truck permit. And that's one way that you could address it if you said, look, you know, mobile food vendors or food truck vendors, we're gonna allow them, but only if they're on this one particular
Right,
block.
that's what I'm saying.
Working with
Right,
them
that's what I'm saying.
instead
Can
of
we not
against
lump
them.
those guys into this
You
if we're
can,
working
and
on
one way
something?
that you also don't even have to change your zoning ordinance is because right now it's not a permitted use in your zoning ordinance. You just simply don't change your zoning ordinance, but y'all, because this is a magic trick that, you know, we've talked about before, y'all's property technically isn't subject to your own zoning ordinance. You can do anything you want to on it, but y'all just declare that this is our food truck park, this, you know, 100 by 100 area or whatever. And then just have a short application process and maybe a fee just to allow you to be able to review those necessary documents.
So what is council's thoughts on that? Is that something y'all would support if we just have the food truck area and let maybe staff come up with some rules and stuff and come back to us for us to vote on that?
I'm fine with that.
So we, you know, I don't think we need to rush it tonight or even Thursday. Maybe give staff a month. I know Christie, Danny, a lot of them are gonna have to weigh in on this.
We got a
and then
couple
bring us
ready to
something.
come into the city though, so we
Yeah,
don't
we got a
want
lot
to-
of restaurants that want to be here,
Yeah,
but don't have any place to go.
yeah.
And long-term, this is me long-term thinking here, so please excuse me. If we find a good location that the city agrees with and all that, if that ever does go brick and mortar there, and there's a restaurant, a food truck vendor that just kills it there,
say by
They're
the
gonna be
name
the
of
first
Sam's on
one
Main.
that would want to
Well,
then,
That's my dream,
Well, that's what I'm
Yes.
saying, these food trucks come in, the people dictate who's got the food, because those food trucks are always gonna be busy, and those people are gonna realize they have a base here, and they would try to wanna work to have a restaurant here.
and I will say, I talked to Antonio for tacos and beer, and I talked to Ironetta, and they both support this. They think the more people in downtown foot traffic is best, because they might come for a food truck, see Ironetta's place, and say, next time, I'm gonna go over there. And same thing with Antonio.
Yeah, I think
So
it brings
I think
people into
they're-
the city, so absolutely.
I figure they'd be the ones maybe most affected by it, because they're the main two in downtown. I haven't talked to Barbecue yet, but I can, or we can have staff reach out to them or something.
Could that be restricted to the downtown overlay?
Well, it'd be just restricted, I just say we just do a food truck park. And let the city decide, let staff decide what might be the best location, unless y'all want to think of one. I will say, if it is 254, I'm going to recuse my vote from that. But we have a lot of city land in downtown, so I do think something closer to the core
Downtown.
would be best, and using a piece of land that, even if it's the health department that doesn't use their parking on the weekends.
That's what I was just thinking
or,
about them.
You know, even 254 has that lot there too, but I just want to go ahead and stay out there. If it is going to be on that lot, I will recuse my vote.
And most of them want to be where the traffic is, obviously.
Well, and I think it'd be good for the businesses that are already downtown if we had it like at 254, and I know you want to recuse, but I don't see that as I mean, that to me, and do we still have the swings, Christie? The picnic tables with the swings? I haven't even looked over there. You could just nod your
Yes, ma'am, we do. It just,
Thank
the weather
you.
will not allow us to finish it, painting and getting it ready.
Yeah, okay, well, see, that, we've already got some cuteness there. So
Yeah.
I don't, until it sells, we could put a for sale sign up, so if somebody wants to buy it, but until it sells, I think that's a perfect location. That's just me, but if you put it at another city location, you're getting further away from the downtown shops, and we want to bring them business and also enjoy the food that Sam's on Main is gonna bring.
And just
That's
increase
my
foot
focus.
traffic in downtown overall. People will be able to walk to Braxton's, be able to walk to Ironetta's, be able to walk
The Braxtons, if they're gonna have a food truck of some kind, whatever you're talking about there.
Yeah, we see that's, instead of like, they'll have to have one there and have to go around it, but a bunch of different ways. Just allow them to all apply for here, kind of deal.
I just think, I think it's perfect, me, that's just me.
Paul, can you have that ready for Thursday night?
No.
Dang, gone it.
Well, like I said, I think staff needs to make some decisions too, so let them run with it. We kind of give them a general outline, let them perfect it, and then we vote on it when it comes back.
How long you think it'd take, Danny, to get,
Thursday.
I know, people can get excited now, but please.
Well,
bear
we'll
with
just
us.
need some thoughts from y'all as far as number of people you would like to see on that property. If there's a cost, I don't think we want to make money, but is there something y'all want to charge?
I'll say something cheap.
Yeah, and how many days you want to limit to one person to have exclusive rights? Or is it 30 days and they got to wait? Christie can definitely add on that. She's in charge of the rentals, so how about Christie will draft what she thinks and we'll send it to the council and y'all make your comments and send it back, and we will, if you can get that today and tomorrow, we'll have our stuff, and then Paul can work on it between now and next council meeting. Is that a good time?
You mean Thursday?
No, I mean,
September?
September.
I was just
Yeah, I
checking.
mean, I think it's gonna take a minute to figure out with staff who's gonna run it, because lots of different jurisdictions. So, I mean, I'll help out with staff, but I'll suggest staff there's a lot of jurisdictions that run these a lot of different ways. Some of them have defined municipal food parks that are temporary parking lots and certain hours and all that. I would, again, not rush it. You probably need 60 to 90 days to let them figure out a whole plan. And then the actual regulatory regime will be pretty simple, because it's really just saying, bring us proof that you have all the other approvals if we're not changing the zoning ordinance.
Thursday?
so for
So that-
60 to 90 days, the only food trucks will be at the special events. I mean, right, I mean, we're not gonna.
Yeah, and I think
let-
Christie would look into that too, because maybe those might become premium spots or something during events, or maybe not have them out there during events, because they'll already have food trucks out there kind of
Right.
deal. That might be something that they get into the weeds on, but, sorry, I didn't mean, is there any other questions on that? I'm
There's got to
sorry.
be something though workable because it's so popular everywhere else. Gosh, every other city around us has got them. I'll be able to do something.
All right, well, other than that, Christie, you want to talk about the events coming up?
Good evening. So this Friday night is our Groovin' on the Green concert with Smokey Jones and the $3 Pistols, 7:30 p.m. on our town green. It is a Southern country rock band. So we're excited to have them. It's their first time here in Loganville, so I hope you'll come out and join us. And then our fall festival is coming up in October, Saturday, October the 18th. So we are accepting vendors for that. We already have about 125, 30 people signed up, so we're getting excited. So send everybody that you know that's crafty our way. We'd love to have them. That's it. Thank you.
Christie, last year, did we have about 250?
Yes, sir.
It was a big, big event.
That band, by the way, Christie, I'm sure you already know this, has put up a sample of their music, and it's neat, yeah, it's neat. Yeah.
Love me some country music. All right,
Country.
that's all I got, Skip.
Okay, very good. We'll move now to the city manager's report. Danny?
Thank you, Mayor, even Mayor and Council. Two items, this is more of an update, something you all would love to hear. Highway 20 widening, just had a meeting with GDOT last week. It has been officially delayed until fiscal year 2027. The earliest it would even go out to bid would be July of 2026, which is fiscal year 27. And that is if funding is still available. And I asked that several times on the phone with the project manager, what does that mean? It's very concerning. She goes, well, there's always a potential that funds could not be there, but we don't anticipate that. But we have been rushing our tails off to get the utility aid work done with Keckenwood to the state. They are still asking us for plans, and I keep asking why if you keep delaying. They didn't like that response I gave, but it's very frustrating to deal with a state agency that expects me to have my stuff in with 2 days when they delay. This is the 6th time they've delayed this project now. So
It's frustrating.
It's very frustrating, but we are continuing to handle that project with a new road going through Fesco. We're still in negotiations with Fesco on extending that road. Bill and I have been in great detailed discussion about the plan. Of course, the plan has to come for y'all, but this is mine and his thoughts is we're going to design it. We're going to come to y'all with a request to go to bid, and then we're going to build it, and then it'll be there when state decides to do their road. We're going to go up to the right-of-way where GDOT ends. We know where that is with this project. And our next step now is we're in design. You have all agreed to pay for that design with Keckenwood. They're wrapping up the stormwater as we speak. And then we'll go to Fesco with the land that we'll need for the right-of-way and the road. And they have asked us to purchase a certain amount of land. They want us to go to the property line on the right corner, but it's not a deal breaker if we don't want it. And then we'll come back with y'all in executive session to deal with that potentially if you want to move forward with that project. But it does require to purchase some land from Fesco to build that road. But they are great working with. They want this project as much as we do. He calls me at least once every 2 weeks, the plant manager. So we're still pushing forward on this project, and we're not going to delay and wait for state, because if we wait, they may come back and say, oh, you got 2 weeks to build this road, and we don't want to have that situation.
That probably means we can't use the same contractor, though.
I don't think we want to use the same contractor. Bill has done a lot of work with his experience with GDOT, talked to different cities about the negative side of. I thought it was a great idea, but when Bill educated me, I was like, "Dang, Bill, that's a good point." So Bill can discuss that, but it was decided that we probably want two different construction companies. They may get it if it's at the same time, but it doesn't like we're gonna be on the same timeline now since they've pushed back. Now there's an issue with utility aid. Now they're saying that funds may not be there for certain utilities. We don't know what utilities are because they haven't told us, but I met with Keckenwood Friday afternoon, and they're telling me, what do I want to do? And it's hard to say what if I can't have a set plan from the state of Georgia, but they want me to do hypotheticals, and when you're dealing with that much money, it's hard to do a hypothetical.
That intersection, has that been totally approved with the project whenever it happens?
Still don't know.
Well, so I'll say from my standpoint, yes. So I talked with the engineer today. He echoed that your frustration, Danny. You know, it's a funding issue, but he totally understands you, and he's on the other end. He's just designing it, right? But I think it is the best course. We need to keep our foot on the gas. We know, you know, as we push forward and get the connection done, you know, it ties into GDOT. They're making their changes, their plans. It's going to have the intersection in there. They've told us that it's going to work. So, you know, we don't want GDOT to turn back around and say you didn't do your part. So there's no way. And then it's also, I would say it's leverage for the utility aid. I mean, we're putting in a significant improvement here in order to do this. So a lot of factors. I want us to keep moving. And then, like Danny was saying, the construction aspect of it, I mean, we go ahead and get it done. We take care of whatever contractor we are. We're not bound. We're not waiting for anybody else, and we're controlling how it gets built. So I think we can, you know, if we get to that point, you know, we're not going to make the decision now. We'll make the decision as it develops.
You want to share with the audience, Danny, what we had as an original estimate of doing that work? I know it's changed.
Yeah, it's in the millions. It's
5.7 million, is that what we were talking about?
I think we can do it less than 5, but you know, that was last year. But don't want to say too much in case somebody bids on it. They're like, well, they think it's going to be 5.7 million. So, but yeah, we don't know. But this will be a public private partnership because FESCO is a private company. There is a portion of the road and a pond that we will have to design for them that will be theirs. But that was part of the deal. Of course, like that has to come before y'all as well. But that was one of the deals that we talked about with FESCO is build this road that we'll build it and then it will deed it back to them. There is a portion of land that we would have to deed back to the state of Georgia for right of way. We talked about it numerous times, but it's a big piece of puzzle and we're just doing one piece at a time. Any more questions on that?
Yeah, will they commit to moving their home office here?
He did not say. They did tell me that they're planning on a 40,000 square foot expansion, and we're trying to accommodate with that with their retention pond, but it is an issue with the land and where the current pond is now. So we're working on that.
Always an issue. That's what life is.
If there's no other questions, the other item I had, just I know there's been talk about it. 254 Main Street, you know, what are we doing over there? Why are we doing it? This is something that staff, Christy, came up to me and said, hey, I want to do this. Her and her staff went to some Main Street meeting. I don't know what it was, but she saw these swings and she was all hyped up. And if you don't know how Christy shoots, she won't let me forget. She keeps hounding me, so sometimes you just got to say yes, so she'll go on something else. But they are some nice swings. I did go by and look at them. They're not done, but Christy and her staff has actually did a little landscape design. It's going to be a little bit of sod, a little bit of gravel, just kind of, you know, something that can be cute and it doesn't look like just a gravel parking lot. But and if y'all decide to sell that, the swings can pop up and we can move them somewhere else. I just didn't want to put them on the town green because, you know, people sit on swings, it'll wear out the grass and we need as much space as we can get for concerts. So that's why I said, well, where are you going to put them? She said, I want to do 254. I said, okay, great. So that's what we're doing over there. I know the weather's been a factor. I know staff's been over there trying to smooth it out and get some grass, some sod, but the swings are in. I believe one's painted sunshine yellow, right? So anyway, I just know y'all had some questions, so that's that, and also the public had some questions too. So Any questions?
Yes, I do have a question, and Patty, this was yours, so I just wanted to ask, though. I know the applications for your assistant closed on the 8th, and I know, Patty, you had some questions, and I'm not going to take that. I'm going to let you go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, I was just, Danny, do you have a retirement date yet? We need it as council, I think we need it.
No, that's, I can tell you that my contract is up for renewal in February of 2027. I can tell you that. But that's a decision I think that my wife and I need to have. It's a life-changing event, something I can't make with a couple hours of, but I will say that I don't plan to go when I can retire, but, it's just something that we'll have to talk with my family and see. But, what we're doing now is legacy planning, succession planning, if you will. One of the things that I noticed when I became city manager is there was no assistants other than the police. They're the only ones that had an assistant. So I would come and something happens to myself, or something happens to Natalie, something happens to Christy, something happens to Brandon, who's going to take over? Because the city's not going to stop. You'll come to my funeral, but the next day the city runs. It's got to. So we started implementing hiring assistant directors, assistant chiefs. So we have that. The fire department has 3 battalion chiefs that can take over. The only assistant city manager we had was myself when Bill was here. He promoted me that. I learned for 2 years, and if you think you can learn this job in 2 years, you're sadly mistaken. It is something I learn every single day. So this position that we just, we interviewed today, some applicants. It closed on Friday. We had, I don't know, where's Christy? We had 40 or so applicants. We narrowed it down to 5. We had those interviews, myself, Paul, Christy, Ansley, Natalie, and I'll make a decision sometime at the next step. There's some more stuff we have to do as staff. But, I'm looking sometime in the September, October that the person starts, and then the training will start. As you all know, I hire staff. It's a staff level decision, but come to my replacement, that's something that this board would decide.
Correct.
We do have a policy that says we hire from within when we can, but there's not one single employee that applied for assistant city manager. Because they see how hard this job is. I know I make it look easy, but it's not. It's a very hard job. Extremely hard. And it gets worse every single year because it's just demands change. What's that? Yes. So to answer that question, what I'm doing now is I'm going to hire the best person that can do the job. And if you all see fit, whoever that council is, when that time comes, I would think that person could handle the job, but they may not want it. There's no guarantee your assistant will want to become the man or the woman. So thank you. I said that gender neutral, but that's just you just don't know what you're getting into until you get it. So we can say all day long we're going to have an assistant, and that assistant's going to become the city manager, but when that time comes, it may be a different climate. But to answer your question, there is no set date.
I've been here in 17 months to 2 years. False? I mean,
Well,
that's
that's when
rumor.
2027
That's
comes. That's when my contract is up for renewal. Certainly, you all can stop that or not renew it. That is my eligibility. That's the earliest I could leave, but
I have an HR question, Paul, for you.
Sure.
I know that we would not generally grill an employee about their intentions about leaving, and I say this as an HR chair. Is it different because he's under contract?
So that's getting a little complicated and maybe asking me to provide you with some legal advice that I'm not comfortable sharing within the four corners of the public. What I can say is that the singular employee that serves at the pleasure of the mayor and the council is the city manager. you have positions that y'all appoint. That is your city manager, your city attorney, and your city municipal court judge. And your city manager is a city manager, city clerk. Danny's position, the person currently holding that position, serves at the pleasure of the mayor and council. That being said, the city does have a contractual employee agreement with Mr. Roberts that's currently in effect that is set for expiration, reconsideration, renewal, or the like. I think it's sometime in February 2027. I've seen it once, but haven't studied it because it was entered into before my time. So to answer your question, y'all are the arbiter of who serves as the city manager and/or city attorney and/or city municipal court judge. There may be other laws that apply relative to that, but asking when someone is going to retire, I would say, if I can try and answer your question, may not be in the norm of what you go through in sort of public discussion and public discourse.
So where would we discuss it? Executive session?
Hang on,
Oh, I'm
I wasn't
sorry.
done with here would be my request of all the council. If we have an HR question that is not eligible for executive session, to go through the HR committee, or at least give Danny an opportunity to respond to an email more than a few hours. I just don't think we should be talking about HR issues or employment issues or anything from this position. So that would be my request. You can honor it or not, but that would be my request.
My request is simply that we know far enough in advance that we being council, has the opportunity to select that city manager and have that city manager intern for, according to Danny, it takes a minimum of 2 years, but I was saying a year or before in my email, to make sure they can learn the job before you retire. So I think that's not asking too much, because maybe we're discussing it in the wrong environment. I apologize if that's the case, but I think we need to have advance notice. And I've been hearing 17 months for a long time. I don't know if it came out of your office or where it came from, Danny. So, I mean, I've been hearing
Yeah,
that.
17 months when the contract's up, and that's when the earliest I could leave for retirement. But I think certainly my actions for the last 32 years working with the cities, I'm not going to leave the city high and dry. If I decide to leave in 2027 and the council says, hey, we need you to, we're not going to go with this person, we're going to go somewhere else, will you please? Absolutely.
Okay.
My heart is here, my loyalty is here. This is the only job I've ever had, minus 2 years at Gwinnett County. So I think my commitment to the city is it's not about this title, it's about these staff employees.
Right.
That's what I'm here. That's what I want to make sure, because you just can't throw someone in this position. You can, but you're going to have a negative result.
Right, exactly.
So I respect what you're saying, and I'm not going to say, hey, I'm leaving in 30 days. I'm not built that way.
Ms. Patty, just to answer your question, short circuit it is. There's currently a contractual relationship between the city and Mr. Roberts as to his employment. As to your concerns about notice, I'd be happy to speak to you offline about ways that could be addressed.
Okay, that works.
Well, and I agree that it's important, and you sent the email at 12:02, so it's not even been a full day without an answer, and I don't believe that warrants a public discussion.
Well, whatever, Ann. It may not. I mean, that's up to everybody's opinion. I'm just trying to protect the city, making sure that we have our ducks in a row when they need to be in a row.
Yep, and Danny, thank you for your service, and
yes,
we
thank
don't
you
think
for-
for a second that you would leave us high and dry.
Yes, thank you for all you do.
Always going to be having a request for what day is the funeral and what time. Hopefully we're not going
Don't say that.
Oh,
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. We'll move right into the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor.
Paul.
Have 3 items before you this evening. All of them are discussion-based, meaning, of course, if you want to take action on them, you can, but as I've told you, as much as I can, there's always certain times where there's ordinances that come up that y'all want them quicker or we need them quicker. I bring them to you and I ask you to take action on them on the next Thursday night. But all 3 of these are nothing that is urgent or has a time deadline to it. So they're here for you for consideration without action in August, and then I'll bring them back to you again in September for your consideration to take action at the September meeting. So these are just preview and introduction to you. The first one is really a cleanup. It verifies the rule that I said of law of unintended consequences. Just when we updated your alcohol ordinance a couple years ago, one miss was the reality that y'all are a split county. All this is cleaning up some admin issues within the internal workings of staff in that where can the alcohol registered agent reside. So we had to clean that up to make sure it's clear they could be Gwinnett or Walton because of your split county. And that's all that item A does, is it's really just an admin cleanup of your alcohol ordinance. If no questions on that one, I'll move on to the second one. The second one is noise regulation ordinance. That was a request from this body last month to move it from 7 a.m. to 6 a.m., and we basically did exactly that. So all of the references to 7 a.m. were moved to 6 a.m.
Okay, and that one I do have some issues with.
Okay?
Because it's all about to be able to allow the garbage trucks to come early. That was what the whole reason was. And so I spent hours since we got the packet, and I was reading this, because y'all just took a paintbrush and basically painted the whole thing to 6 a.m.
We did.
Okay.
Very specifically to address and provide First Amendment constitutional protection rights, because anytime you're talking about limiting noise, you could be talking about limiting speech, and when you're talking about limiting speech, then you have to be content neutral, and any regulation relating to the limiting of speech or any First Amendment right must and always will be analyzed on what's called a strict scrutiny basis. So we're not going to go in and cherry pick what noises we do allow at 6 a.m. versus the noises that we don't allow. So if we're going to allow some noises at 6 a.m., then we got to allow them all.
Well, I read dozens and dozens and dozens of noise ordinances from Winder, Grayson, Snellville, Brookhaven, everywhere. And we have a very lax noise ordinance. And what I find amazing is while you're saying that, and I appreciate that, you're a city attorney, they break it down very specifically. And they get into construction and when construction can occur. And it can't occur on Sundays, and it can't occur then, and this and that. So right now, just a case in point, there was a subdivision being built on Claude Brewer Road. And while our noise ordinance at the time was 7 a.m., the construction crew over there was already not abiding by that, and they were going earlier. Well, now we're giving construction crews carte blanche to start hammering and beating and banging at 6 a.m. This says that we can make noise from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That is only 8 hours of quiet time in the city. Why could we not just put a little addendum in here that buses and garbage trucks can be on the roads at 6 a.m. and leave the noise alone? 7 a.m. is plenty early, as one of these things says, is yelling and hooting. So I think yelling and hooting at 7 a.m. is a little ridiculous, but we can leave. Now we can yell and hoot at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I should go out in my backyard and start yelling and hooting. I'm sure my neighbors are going to appreciate that.
Yeah, so if you want us, so first off, I'm not going to comment on other city ordinances.
Right.
But if you want us to get into parsing out, that's actually, I don't want to get technical, but, you know, I did swear an oath to both the state and federal constitutions, and so I have to. We could do some parsing out on business regulation and perhaps traffic regulation that does not get into noise ordinances that can be construed, not always, but that can be construed as First Amendment analyses. So that's, again, there's the law of unintended consequences.
Right.
And so if the concern is these other noises you want to not occur, then we can look at whether or not it's appropriate to regulate, you know, construction services at certain times. That's different than noise regulation.
Okay.
Although I know it's the intended
It was
effect.
everybody else just had that in there, so I mean, it was one of their things, because I know what the intention of this is. However, I think we're, as you said a while ago, the intent, whatever of unintentional whatevers. I mean, we're gonna start having people hooting and yelling at 6 o'clock in the morning now, when they were holding off till at least 7, when everybody was brushing their teeth and cooking their breakfast.
I understand.
I hadn't had many of that going on at 6 or 7.
I don't want to hear it either, and the people that call me about it don't want to hear it either, but I don't know. I don't like that we just took a paintbrush and now everything can be done at 6 a.m. I think that's a little excessive, simply because they want to pick up trash at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
I'd be willing to bet you that our sound ordinance will not stop anybody from hooting and hollering at 6 in the morning if they get ready
I'm
to.
gonna come stand in your yard and
Come
hoot and
on
holler.
over.
I'm going to.
The sound ordinance ain't gonna make it happen or stop it from happening.
No, but
correct.
the
It-
police can't enforce it if
It
it's not
doesn't
on the
stop
books.
firecrackers, fireworks. you
I'm
know,
just saying,
in
that's my
neighborhood.
opinion. Y'all vote however you wanna vote.
Well, I mean, I'll say, when I looked at it, there was the same thoughts. You know, what caught my eye was pile driving at 6 a.m. I really don't see us with the heights of buildings we have and no bridges that we're gonna be driving pile, but it's there. And so is there another mechanism, kind of like you alluded to, is there somewhere that we can say in the business section, hey, trash trucks can operate within the city between 6 a.m. and
Yeah, we can go back and look at that.
I mean, some other mechanism just makes it a little bit minor.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I also didn't notice, well, anyway, that's good enough.
Yeah, we can go back and
Do what, Bill?
we can go back and see how we might curtail and fine tune, but you just always have to be careful
Right.
that, you know, that speech, because some will argue, whether it's accurate or not, that commercial speech can include things such as just noise. Because there's music that we've all heard that we think is just noise, but yet it's music. So we'll go back and take a look at it and see if we can get something
Okay.
more to everyone's liking.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, if there's nothing else on that one, the last one is for discussion, your library operations IGA. As you know, this has been going down the path for a long time, so this operations IGA is, serves two primary purposes, or three actually, three primary purposes. One is to identify that the library will be used for a library for a 20-year period, which is a mandate of one of the funding mechanisms, which is the state bond, the $3 million state bond. Also, although I haven't seen it, I'm certain was probably a funding mechanism of the additional $900,000 allocation, because I believe it was a bond allocation too and not a direct allocation. Regardless, the $3 million requires it to be used as a library for 20 years, so this creates a rental agreement between the city and the library system to use the library building, the new library building, for 20 years. It then just memorializes and lays out who pays for what, and all that we did on that was simply take what everybody's been paying for and duplicate it, meaning no changes, but what has been paid for in the past, keeping that in place. You'll see a few placeholders in there because by the time I got this out to y'all, I did not have the number from the county and what their annual budget allocation is. I still don't have it, but they told me they would get it to me. I think it's about $150,000, if I'm not mistaken, for the county's allocation. 150, 160. And then the third purpose of the operations IGA is just to lay out the shared use of the property. And, you know, that was one of the things y'all talked about way back when, that basically the bathrooms and the parking spaces will be able to be used for city events during hours that the library is not normally operating. That's what the purpose of this agreement is for. Don't have to take action on it this month. I'm still waiting on any comments or edits from the library boards, library systems attorney, and the county attorney. I don't expect many, but I certainly will share them with you when I get them. And of course, if you have any input or comment on draft or edits, between now and September would be the time to work through those and get those to me, and we can certainly address those. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, you know, Paul, I have a few.
All right.
First off, the future potential town green, that's in paragraph 2, I think, am I on the right page? On the second page, paragraph 2. Do we have a future potential town green on that property already approved?
No, which is the reason why, because I knew you brought it up last time, I added the word potential, because it is just a whereas paragraph, and there certainly are a few, the prior agreements reference it as the town green track.
Yeah, it did.
And there may be some other drawings that reference it as a future town green. But there is nothing in this agreement that commits that site to being a town green,
Okay.
other than the fact that historically, this body, corporate and the city, have regularly talked about it
We did.
becoming a future
We
town
did,
green.
yes. I just didn't know if something I didn't know.
I added another word to further allay your concerns about the verbiage in that sentence. And that
Okay.
word was potential.
Okay, potential. Potential.
I actually had that same question, so thank you, Patty, for bringing
It
that up.
previously read
Yeah.
future town green.
Okay,
But
yeah.
because there was so much
No.
discord about whether or not you're doing a town green there, although this agreement in no way, shape, or form
Mm-hmm.
obligates the city of Loganville to install a town green on the property located immediately easternly adjacent to the library site. I added another word to help allay any concerns and potential conspiracy theories that may arise.
That works for me. I do have another one on the same note though, but on the library side, it says to Pines Library System. What if they ever change from that software or anything like that? That's not, I know we would just have to make an edit and probably not a big deal, but if we're gonna ask it about the town green, I
It
saw
uses
that.
terminology that says including but not limited to, so, I mean, that is a reference to the library
So
system
if they ever
software
change, it's not
use.
gonna be an issue.
I don't think they would go
I doubt they would
without some
change,
sort of
but-
software. They may just roll on back to the Dewey Decimal System at some point, and if they do, so be it.
I just, since they just like labeled it specifically Pines, I was like, why wouldn't it just be library system hardware and software?
I mean, that just
But it's-
came from a listing that they provided me.
Okay,
as to
no problem.
What are their normal things that they provide?
Staying on number, are you through, Brandon?
Yes, well,
Staying on number three, that's my number three. On the same paragraph Brandon was on, talking about the pines, do you happen to know if all this other stuff that's listed here is part of the grant money, or is this separate, and will the library in and of itself be paying for these things?
What grant money?
From the state, the 3 million, and then our 1.5, the whole funding process.
So
will-
the grant money is for the capital expenditures related to the library. I believe this paragraph 2 relates to the ongoing operational expenses of the library.
Okay, because at one time, the furniture and all was going to be a part of the, I'm calling it grant money. So I didn't know if the computers and the security and all that was also going to be paid out of that money. But no is your answer?
I'm not sure that I understand the question. I do remember that in some of the initial, and Danny can speak up on that, some of the initial quotes and budgets that FF&E was included, and so it is. But this references, I guess, the idea of ongoing operational expenses.
Okay. So I'm going with that.
Can I ask a question right quick while
Sure.
you're looking? In paragraph 4, where it says the city will provide in-kind services for the property,
Yes, ma'am.
number C, minor interior maintenance and upkeep on an as-needed basis. And then the clarifier at the bottom says, all other operational expenses related to the library will not described herein shall be the sole responsibility of the library system. I'm sure I'm going to be the only one here, but I would like another clarifier on that, because they are building a library that is of their own verbiage, value engineered. And I believe that we're going to have some major repair expenses associated with this library over the 20 years that it's there. And while it does say that the city is only going to provide minor interior maintenance and upkeep, it doesn't exclusively say that the library should self-fund if their value-engineered library has a major catastrophic failure. How can we get around
I
wording
believe we
that?
backed off of that valued engineering since we got that $900,000 grant from the state. That's what we were waiting on in case we didn't have enough money for the capital expenditure.
I don't know what level the value engineering or cost savings mechanisms have been put in place. I cannot speak to that.
I don't think
If
it
there's
did.
different language that this body would like to use in that subsection C, then we certainly can explore that. I took that from discussions with staff of both the library and the city, that the staff, that city staff would go in and do minor, they would change air filters. I think they use the
Right.
terminology, they would change air filters, and they would change light bulbs, and those sorts of things. If
So
you-
is there anywhere in here that says if there's a catastrophic failure, that the city is not going to be paying for that? That the library would not have to fund that repair?
That the city would not have to fund that
That
repair?
the city would not, I mean, I understand the library is the city is the library, but if we're going to get down and talk about who's changing light bulbs and who's
I
changing,
mean, to
buying the-
answer your question, I'm not trying to be flippant, but the best way I know how to is the word minor, right? Catastrophic and
Right.
minor have two very clear definition differences, and I don't view minor interior maintenance and upkeep being a catastrophic failure of the building.
I have a question,
I
Melanie.
can, I mean, if you want to metric it, so I mean, sorry, I just,
No, go,
if you want to
please.
metric it and you want specifics of cost metrics or to schedule what maintenance is and is not included, we can certainly do that. Give me some direction on that. But this is memorializing essentially, based upon my review of where you've been, exactly what's been happening in the past, with the exception being that the city in the past has had to change out the air conditioner systems, I believe, and the roof and those sort of things, and that the city would continue to change out the roof because that is not a minor repair.
Correct.
And it is y'all's building. So, I mean, if you want us to add to it, we certainly can. And then the question becomes, you know, where is that cutoff beyond, you know, where it sits now? So, you know, and if we
I'm
want
just
to.
asking questions.
No, I understand, but I'm just trying to understand what it is y'all want to do.
Danny,
I'm
isn't
sorry,
it true
Miss,
that if
Ann,
it exceeds your limits?
I ran too long.
You have to have council approval? If something exceeds your limits, you have to have council approval?
Yes.
So it would come in front of the council? Whatever
Yes,
it might be.
currently, I mean, library now, if something happens, we fix it. I don't think we've replaced no air conditioners lately, but certainly we've repaired roofs. Constantly, it seems like, there's a leak.
Stucco?
But you know, I think like with the health department, like if they wanted to remodel them, that wouldn't be by the city, because that's a choice that they made. But if my opinion is it's a city building, if a tree falls through it, it's our building, our responsibility to take care of it.
We have insurance.
Of course, you're right. But if it's less than
catastrophic.
the deductible of the insurance is $20,000, then I gotta come before y'all anyway and say, hey, we need this approval. So I think that's where you're going with this, Mayor. So, most air conditioners for that size are over 15,000. So it would have to come back before y'all anyway.
So if y'all want me to further define subsection C, I'll be happy to.
I'm good with
I
it.
just think about the future, kind of like Melanie's doing. I mean, I could see arguments or court action for that matter as to, between the library and the city as to what's minor and what's major and who's gonna pay for what, and, you know, that's all I see. But as far as the wording, I guess it's okay. I might do it on a monetary basis, like minor equals however much money, and I don't know. I just worry about the library, you know, being assertive on this particular point and what that would do as far as the city goes to us.
Who owns the building?
City
The
owns it
city
at
owns
the
the
end of the
building.
day.
So
It's
that's
our
what I
building.
thought. I just wanted that officially. So here's my question. Let's say, God forbid, a big tree hits the roof or a meteor hits the roof and it knocks the roof in and there's water pouring in and it ruins the library and it's $50,000 and the library can't fix it. Are we going to leave it there unfixed with water coming in and ruining the whole building, or are we going to fix
A
it?
meteor is totally different than you built something less than top of the line. Their own words are value engineered. That is the part of it that scares me. Anytime you value engineer something, you're using lesser quality products, less of them, however they're gonna cut their corners. And so at that
They just bought
point,
their building at Target instead of Saks. I mean, you can buy
understand your
perfectly
question.
good jeans at Target for $20 and not spend $200. It doesn't mean the jeans aren't fine.
I have good genes. I'm just throwing that out.
I'm simply making a point. I'm not trying to argue with you.
You cannot define what you're asking to define.
So why is it in here?
Because that's
It's just like when you
historically-
sign a waiver for your kids and you say that the coach can give treatment for minor injuries, or you take your kids to school and they can have medication for a minor injury, like they can have Advil, but they can't have codeine. I mean, you can't define everything. We're in the minutia.
I mean, and let's be honest, the library's got a lease for 20 years. 5 years from now, nobody's gonna go back and read this document. We're gonna pay for everything anyway. I mean, let's be honest. I just simply was like to put it in writing, but hey, whatever. Y'all have the votes to do whatever you like.
What does it mean, funds available, Paul? And I ask that, I know it's an obvious question. I mean, funds available is an obvious thing. But what if, say, somebody says, oh, well, you've got funds in your reserve, so you have funds available. I mean, I see that argument possibly coming into play sometime, at some point, because that's mentioned several times throughout this document, if funds are available.
Yeah, simply because it gets into some technical issues about a multi-year lease and a multi-year obligation. And so it's acknowledging the reality that for many, many years, y'all have supported the local library. But at the end of the day, that support is subject to the needs of the library, the budgetary constraints of the city, and the funds that are available. So it's simply the reality that you're agreeing to agree in the future, but only subject to a new budget being set. And I put in there 5 years, but based upon my discussion with Danny, I think this has been the exact same number, level, dollar figure of funding for the library for over 10 years.
Okay.
So they've received the exact same annual dollar figure amount from the city of Loganville of that 133, 238 for at least the last 10 years and maybe more.
Danny, don't y'all have a schedule of what you're supposed to pay for that 33,000 or whatever the figure is?
Yes, we pay it quarterly.
Do you have a schedule of a list like utilities and this, a list of what you're required to cover? I thought I saw.
That's what this
it.
agreement does.
It was in there.
It was in here? Oh, I did never see it.
It's
I must have it.
paragraph number
This is my
4.
copy, so.
Yeah, it was utilities,
It's my fault.
insurance. It's in
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So just to be clear too, value engineering is not just let me build it cheap. It's a tool. It's a tool to reduce costs by using a more efficient design. I've completed 2 value engineering projects in my realm this past year where I changed the foundations for a particular bridge, and in another case, I changed one structure from a culvert to a bridge. In the effort to save cost in another, for instance, we reduced the number of piling that would have been required by changing the structure type. So in this case, it's a building. So they reduced cost in terms of some of the different types of, it doesn't mean the treatment that they changed to is substandard. It just means they changed it differently, so it reduced costs. So we still expect the same quality of work in the end.
Yeah, I'm not aware, they exist. Very few projects am I aware of in city government world that doesn't go through value engineering for this very reason, to match the realities of inflows to outflows.
I've worked in some of those value engineered buildings.
Well, that's why
And
they say these
trust me.
buildings last 20 years when
Trust
we're in a
me.
building that's, 60-something years old?
You can't walk out on the balcony because it's falling. Yeah, well, anyway, it's a long list of value engineered buildings for the government.
Paul, is that all you got?
That's all I have, Mayor. We do have an executive session on the issue of litigation that we will need to go into once you finish with public comment.
Okay. Monday night is also the night that the public is mostly gone. Gets the opportunity to speak on subjects that they'd like to speak about, and they are limited to a 5-minute time frame. So is there anyone here who wants to take that privilege of taking your 5 minutes? Seeing none? I'm still- Okay. Jim, you want to speak?
No, sir, that has never been a good idea, Brian.
Well, we were going to test the waters. Okay, with that, we need a motion to adjourn and go into executive session. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We promise we'll be back before midnight.
Yes, you're in regular session now. If there's no action to be taken, you just need a motion to adjourn.
Can we go over everything real quick that we covered tonight?
I think we already have, Mayor.
Yeah, I do too. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Yes. We have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed?